Welcome back to Chops the Garage. And I said to you I was going to do a post of another little project I've got on the go at the moment, another little cheap buy, and here it is, my Panda 4x4. This is a 2005 1.2 petrol I picked up from Copart. I'll show you why I got it cheap. Like I said, this is the 4x4 climbing. It's something again I've had on my list for a little while for a bit of fun. I live in Devon, the roads are really bad here. The council don't surface the roads too often. We get lots of tractors coming along causing big ruts, and you need to dive out of the way of stuff quite a lot around here. So a 4x4 Panda is something I've been looking for, and I've heard they're a lot of fun, so I thought it was about time I found out for myself. So in terms of what damage I got it from Copart for, I got it for the grand price I think of £500, this one from Copart, and I did get a little stiffed because when the car turned up, being a Panda 4x4, it kind of needs its prop shaft, and when this one turned up initially it had no prop shaft between the front and rear wheels, so I had a two-wheel drive Panda. I bought blind from Bristol as I didn't have the time to be going up there and viewing the vehicle. Obviously Copart standard line, when I messaged them about it and said you sold me a two-wheel drive Panda, they didn't give a monkeys. Did you do your pre-inspection? And then my response to that, got no response at all. I'm pretty used to that with Copart, to be honest. They've kind of got you over a barrel. If you want to buy the cars there, you buy the cars there and you get what you're given. They don't really ever respond. In terms of what damage it had when I got it from Copart, it was a category N, and it was a pretty, oh, it was category S actually, this one, but I don't normally buy category S's structurally wise unless it's very light, and all it had done on this one, I've got it running because the battery was a bit flat. So category S, and what it done is it had banged the wing in, broken the headlight, and then in here this inner skin had separated from an outer part. So all I did, take the wing off, spot weld that back in place again, put the wing on, put the headlamp on. Now those of you with a better eye will notice that the paint is not great. When I got the paint from the Motor Factors, it came through and it wasn't a very good match. I think the problem is, to be fair to them, that this being an old Fiat is lots of different oranges all over, and they found it hard to get some match. So the paint match isn't exact, but it's a damn sight better than broken up and busted paint. So I had to get the prop shaft for it, fit that in. That was relatively easy. When I put the prop shaft back in and drove the car, I then found out why it didn't have a prop shaft, because you were getting a big knock out of the rear diff here. So I put a shout out on the Fiat forum on Facebook, and for £150, grand sum of £150, I got a new entirely rear diff and drive shaft setup, which I have to say was absolute piece of pea to fit. That, along with the drive shaft, wasn't so cheap. Couldn't get a used one of those, cost me a couple £100, so I was banging the £350 just to get it back into four-wheel drive. In terms of the engine wise, so this is the thing on this Panda, she has done a grand total of 167,000 miles. So this car, she's been worked hard. Checking the Mot history though, I saw that she'd passed all her MOTs each year. She's obviously been used a lot, and I'd rather have a car that was used a lot than been sitting, because the ones that sit, you just end up chasing problems all along, trying to get hoses and pipes and everything unseized and working. At least I knew this one was working. When I got it, there was a bit of an oil weep down here on the engine, so I changed the rocker cover on it, but as you can hear, it sounded a little exhausty, so I did actually put an exhaust on as well. This is a prime example, people, of not buying with your heart, because I've massively overspent on it really. I think with the exhaust, the prop shaft, the rear diff, I also put a cam belt on it. The cam belts are super simple on these. I didn't have any history with it, so I put new cam belt and tension on it. I've probably got myself up to over £1,000 on it now, which I probably could have gone and scored a deal on a non-damage registered one for about 1,500 to be honest, or less, with less miles. But I kind of like bringing these old girls back to life. So yeah, so she had a full cam belt, water pump, tensioner, did the oil of course, did the rocker cover gasket, new air filter, put a new exhaust section in, and since then I have bombed around in her a bit. Done a few runs back and forth to work when I haven't had another vehicle, I've actually taken my daughter down our field to learn some driving on it. So what do you get on an interior of a Panda that's done 167,000 miles? Well, for starters, you get your seat bolsters gone, hence the car cover. So that's something I haven't addressed at the moment. You get a gear selector that is wobbling all over the place, a spoon in jelly. So again, I could spend a bit of time getting the connections on that fixed up. I did change the gator was completely ripped open. I did change that up. But interior wise, other than that, she's actually withstood the time really well. No rips, tears, burns, and there's no other wear on any other seat. So all that 167,000 miles was done in this driver's seat. I have noticed an engine management light's popped up, so I'm going to have to plug that in a bit and see what the score is with that. You get electric front windows. You get your city button, which lightens up the steering if you haven't come across that on Fiats before. So nothing major, but it's oh, my neighbour. Yeah, it's just a little bit of fun. So like I say, I've put a few miles on her since I've done those repairs. She hasn't let me down, other than me letting her sit with a flat battery for a bit. But other than that, she's been entirely reliable, and it does prove that you don't have to be afraid of these cars with the higher mileages on. Actually, a lot of the time it's probably better for them. Like I say, with this one, pop the boot, and with that down, you've got a minivan. You can load it up with whatever you like. So what we're going to do now is take it for a little test drive, and I'll give my review of how I think these little Pandas drive. So here we are, taking the little Panda out for a spin. Yeah, straight away she's a little bit raspy on the exhaust there. Let me just put the windows up so you can hear what I'm saying. So, good test for little Panda 4x4 is the roads outside my house, because the council decided that they don't need to fill any of the potholes in. So we've got these massive potholes here, you can see all the way along the road, and it's a great mucky mess that the farmers have made. We can have a little play in as well. So first up, the gear change is very loose, as you expect for the miles that she's done. It's a little bit wobbly and indirect, but steering's okay. There's some knocks, bangs on the suspension, but nothing major. Let's see how she does for power wise. So I'm in third gear now, pulling along, and she feels nippy enough. Nice little rasp from the engine there. These little 1.2 fire engines from Fiat, they're just brilliant little units. They're pretty indestructible. They go on forever if you service them. I've dropped down to third after slowing down there, and it's noticeable that there's not much get up and go there. You'd have to hold the revs. It feels like one of those cars that you're going to have to keep your speed up, and you can have a bit of fun in it. If you keep that speed up and choose your gears wisely, you can probably get it running along quite nicely. The suspension doesn't feel sophisticated, certainly not Citroen-esque, as in taking the bumps out for you, but it rides okay. Like I say, again, it's a cheap car, it's done a lot of miles, there's going to be some knocking about in it. Like I say, this gear change is very wobbly on it. So what we'll do is we'll try a couple of these little areas that the farmers have made a mess of, and we'll see what our thoughts are on it. Here we've got some people doing their exercise walking. So as I say, living in Devon, lots of little back lanes here. I could test that with 4x4 out on. So I've got no access to any major off-road stuff, but there's been plenty of rutted verges and so forth where the farmers have been through. I have to say, she pulls along pretty smoothly. The engine's pretty smooth. Spin it around here. She takes all those bumps at speed pretty good. Let's reverse her up, and we'll go over the verge a bit over here. Let's see how she does with a sort of bit of a slope here. Up we go. Oh, that is pretty impressive actually. She's taking these big bumps very well. I'm impressed. That was probably a lot steeper than it looks like from the camera, and she just went up and over that, no problem at all. Loads of clearance, didn't hesitate going over the top. You wouldn't be able to do that in a normal vehicle, and trust me, around here that's something sometimes you wish you could do when you meet a 16-year-old in a tractor with a slurry buggy on the back bombing along. Getting out of the way is something you want to do pretty damn quick. So we'll head back. Oh, nice MGF coming along, someone enjoying that. They're another cheap buy I keep meaning to get my hands on at the moment. They are just ridiculously cheap for what you get, and you know there's going to be a point where they start to go up in value. Got a little bit of axle tramp when we accelerate. I mean, this isn't really off-road here, but down into the verge, up here a bit, over into the hedge a bit. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. She's taking that without any issues. Obviously it'd be a bit more fun if it wasn't all dried out and it was a bit muddy. But this is certainly the kind of car I can imagine you'd be having a lot of fun bombing around in if you live in an area like I do. Or if you had access to some fields, you'd have a lot of fun in this. I have done a few miles in her before already, and miles per gallon I wouldn't say they're outstanding. I reckon she's probably doing about 40, which is good for a 4x4. Imagine that drops down if you pushed it and started trying to get the revs up to get the performance out of her. But just a lot of fun, loads of ground clearance, you can throw it about all over the place, no problems at all, and it costs a lot to run. I forget what insurance group is on this one. The road tax isn't too much, and they're really well supported. There's quite a lot of forums on Facebook for them. You get parts quickly enough for them. They're just, like I say, just a great bit of fun. Loads of room inside, and when you put those back seats down, you've basically got a van, a 4x4 van. So, oh, I'm having trouble getting fifth now. Looks like I've done something. Oh, there we go. So the gear lever on this is very floaty about. We've got a nice big verge down here, something coming the other way, so we'll do them a favour and get out of the way. Unfortunately, there we go, there's a big dip in this verge here. Let's give this a go. You probably can't see it, but down there is a big tractor ditch. Go into that, down we go, up the other side. Yeah, no problems. No problems at all. So in terms of driving them, don't expect anything other than agricultural drive. They, I imagine they're better than the Landy. I've not driven the Landy. Big bumps in the road again, but they're nimble, they're fun, they're light, they throw around, and they're cheap. So if you're looking for a little bit of cheap 4x4 fun, I'd highly recommend them. We'll be doing a little bit more work on this here and there, so you'll see a few more videos on it, and I hope to get it out when it gets wet, get it out and get in the mud a bit more. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'm posting again soon, so please subscribe, comment and like.